Okay, I'm going to go over the most profitable companies in the world. This is through as of December the 24th, which was yesterday. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some certain statistics on this. Now, I'm not advising you to buy any of these equities. You can get with your financial advisor and go through that, decide if you want to buy any of these. And there's a lot of things you got to look at, not just profitability, but these companies are the companies that made the most money in the world for 2024 up until December the 24th, 2024. Now, I'm going to go through some statistics here on this and some things that you want to look at if you're looking at this. And also, you need to take note that when you go in equities, you can lose all of your money. I don't care how big these are. These are all pretty much household names, but these companies can go totally bankrupt. So if you put money here, you can lose all your money in these, or you might lose, it could drop below what you put in there. And then when you get out, it's worth less than what you put in there. So you need to know the risk factors when you go in equity. Okay. Now, let's look at the first. I'm only going to give the top 15, and then I'm going to start off with number 15, then go up. Now, Taiwan Semiconductor is a Taiwanese company, and it's information technology. Some things that I would look at is the actual net income that it's actually brought up to that point, which is 31.732 billion US dollars. And you can't just look at this, and you need to look at price earnings, because due to the fact these companies make so much money, they're very popular equities. So what you'll find out is a lot of these have high price earnings ratios, which means they're pretty expensive. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Just depends on the different depending on which company you're actually picking. But the valuations on some of these can be pretty high. Okay, and this is something you really have to look at, because if you buy these and they're very profitable, it depends on what price you're buying them at. If you're buying them at a price that's real high, then once that price readjusts itself and then you turn around and resell it, you could lose money on it. So don't just look at profitability. You have to look at other things too. But again, Taiwan Semiconductor, which is out of Taiwan, that's number 15. Number 14 is ExxonMobil. And one other thing I want to mention to you is the actual profit margin too, because this is something you can, if you look at a profit margin on a company, you can kind of see if it has a moat. And a moat means pretty much that there's not a lot of competition. They might have different types of patents that just keep competition out. And Taiwan Semiconductor it's one of the highest in here at 39.0% profit margin. There's some that are as low as Amazon, which I'll go over that one. Amazon had the lowest, but NVIDIA had the highest, which means that NVIDIA has evidently a lot of patents, and they've also got, they don't have a lot of competition when you're getting that type of profit margin. Otherwise, if you had a lot of competition, it would bring those figures down. Now, ExxonMobil, of course, is a U.S. company. It's involved with energy. And it had this is through December 24th, you're looking at 33.7 billion US dollars. And you're looking at a profit margin of 10.50%, which is about a quarter of the one that I just gave you a minute ago with Taiwan Semiconductor. Okay. Now, one thing I might make a point is I'm going to go over the number one oil company, which is actually more profitable than any company in the world, and it's not even a U.S. company. And the profit margin is double what Exxon's is. So this is something you might want to study on top of what I'm showing you. Now, the next one is Agricultural Bank of China, which is it's a Chinese company. It's dealing with financials. And it's got a net income of roughly 35.198 billion US dollars. And you've got a profit margin of 18.12%. All right, the next one is number 12 is HSBC Holdings, which is out of Great Britain. It's dealing with financials. And it's got a net profit income of 37.85 billion US dollars. and you're looking at a profit margin of 21.02%. And again, like I said, these moats can really help. And when you look at these percentages on these moats, this is the type of equities that Warren Buffett typically looks at, because he likes to go with companies that don't have a lot of competition, because either somebody cannot copy what they're doing, or they've got some sort of patents that just prevent, or they've got some sort of secret formulas like Coca-Cola. It's very difficult to emulate. That's one of Warren Buffett's favorites. The next one is China Construction Bank, which is a Chinese company that's dealing with financials, and it's got a net income of 44.55 billion, and it's got a profit margin of roughly 22.89%. The next one is Industrial and Commercial, which is a Chinese company that's dealing with financials. And I'll tell you something too about some of these Chinese companies, man. The valuations are extremely cheap. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to go up anytime soon, but I'm going to tell you, they are incredibly cheap. Some of these banks have price earnings of 4 times earnings or thereabouts. So that's incredibly cheap. So that's something you might want to be looking at. You're looking at, again, this is dealing with financials. The net income with this one is 47.84 billion. The profit margin on this is 21.27%, and that's pretty good with a bank. Now the next one is got the lowest profit margin of any of these. For years it was losing money. It's very difficult to get this stock at what I would call a good valuation. For years it was losing money. I mean, it's always on the verge of going bankrupt, and then then you couldn't get any price earnings that was anywhere near reasonable. It was 200, 300 times earnings. Now it's right around 40, 50, depending on what day you look at, times earnings, 60 times earnings right in there. But actually, believe it or not, right now it's the lowest valuation that this equity's been in a while. It was around in the 40s, is about the lowest I've seen in as far as price earnings ratio. The net income on this was 49.86 billion through December the 24th. And of course, this is Amazon, which is a U.S. equity. But the profit margin is extremely low at 6.14%. Why is it so low? Several reasons. Number one, it really doesn't have a moat. It's created its own moat. It's the reason it's created its moat, because it's come out with tactics that undercut all these other companies. They've streamlined their business to where very difficult for companies to emulate what they're doing. But at 6.14%, and another thing is too, they almost anything can be returned back to Amazon, and no one can beat their service. But this is the key: when you do that, you got so much stuff coming back. It's going to leave a lot for your profit margin to be real low, especially when you're trying to beat everything that's out there. And that's what they're doing, is they're trying to sell things, and sometimes they'll sell things at losses. It's just amazing what they've done, but it's at a phenomenal growth rate. The problem is getting this at a pretty good valuation. Amazon almost is selling at a lot higher valuation than I would feel comfortable with. One thing that's nice about this too, it doesn't pay a dividend. I've mentioned before, when a company doesn't pay a dividend, there's no tax until the actual equity is sold. But if you're not a U.S. citizen or a U.S. resident, if you buy this stock and sell it, it's all gains, and foreigners don't have to pay capital gains tax if you're not a citizen of the U.S. and you're not a resident of the U.S. So that's one thing that's nice there. The next one is J.P. Morgan Chase and Company. That's a U.S. company dealing with financials. You're looking at profit margin of right at 20%, and the net income is 52.06 billion. And this is one of the best banks in the world by far. Warren Buffett loves this company, so this is a bank you might want to study. But again, You have all these risks that I just went through at the beginning of this video buying this bank. One of my favorite on here is Meta, also called Facebook. Meta has a monopoly. I have no doubt. It's one of the few that I've mentioned on here that has a monopoly. It's got 30.87% profit margin, and you're looking at it's a communication services. Almost everybody's familiar with Facebook. You're looking at net income of $55.53 billion. I'll tell you something. If any company that I would say would have a monopoly on here, and it's not because they've got maybe patents and stuff. It's just they got in early on this, and no one seems to be able to copy what they've got. It's just amazing what they've done. The next one is NVIDIA. This one has the best profit margin of any of them at 51.01%. One reason is it's got so many good patents. It's just doing things that others can't do, and it's when you have that. You have profit margins like this, they got a real moat around what they're doing. Now, just because you have a moat doesn't mean that you're going to make a lot of money, because the price earnings on this stock is pretty high. So you've got to be looking at that too. If this was selling at 10 times earnings, I'd be saying different. But when these stocks have these high profit margins, people jump into them, and you could be buying at a high valuation. So you got to be looking at that. You're looking at, this is information technology. You're also looking at here a net income of $63.07 billion, and again, it's number 6 in the world as far as profit, total profit, net profit. And then you're looking at a very, very high profit margin of 51.01%. The next one is number 5 is Microsoft. Microsoft, pretty much, it's still, I think it's a monopoly. They had this monopoly lawsuit that was brought against them years ago, but I still think Microsoft has still a monopoly on software. Not on search engine, they've tried to monopolize that, but Google has that. But I mean, how many people don't use Google Chrome? That's the key right there. Information technology is what they're involved with. This is a U.S. company. You're looking at net income of $90.51 billion through December the 24th, and you're looking at a profit margin of 35.92%. That profit margin alone, at almost being close to 40%, would tell you they don't have a lot of competition. The next one is Apple. And Apple, you're looking at, is a U.S. company dealing with information technology. You're looking at a net income of $93.73 billion, and this is through December the 24th, and you're looking at a profit margin of 25.64%. Now, I think because you have Apple, and then you got so many different smartphones using different systems out there, but Apple does have a following, and those people just don't want to switch off Apple, and that makes the monopoly in itself somewhat with the product they've got, although I would say it's an absolute monopoly like Facebook and Google. I think Google and Facebook have the best monopoly as far as the most profitable companies out there today. Next one is Alphabet, which is Google. You're looking at, that's a U.S. company. You're looking at a net profit and net income of $94.26 billion. And you're looking at here a profit margin of 25.36%. I'm really surprised it's not higher than that, because I don't know anybody that uses a search engine in the U.S. and most parts of the world too that goes outside of Google Chrome. I don't see it. Of course, Google Chrome is free to use, but due to the fact they get all these ads off that. And also they own YouTube, man. That is a moneymaker, man. So many people get involved with YouTube. It's just phenomenal. Next one is Berkshire Hathaway. Then with financials, it's number 2. And this is Warren Buffett's. It's a publicly traded company, but he owns most of the stock. And you're looking at a net income of, you're looking at $106.875 billion. And you're looking at here profit margin of 23.10%. He does have moat companies, but he has a bunch of other ones too that compete just like everybody else does. But he does have some really good moats in there. Coca-Cola is one of them. He loves American Express. He thinks really American Express has got all these other companies in that industry beat. And then number one is Saudi Aramco, which is an oil company. It went public not just several years ago, and it was the most profitable company in the world dealing with energy. You're looking at a net income of 113.37 billion, and you're looking at a profit margin of 23.70%, which is about more than double what Exxon's profit margin was. Folks, if you want to learn more on this, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and just ask for some help. And folks, you can help us out a lot if you will give us a thumbs up if you like our videos. And also, if you want more videos like this, hit the subscribe button on the right of your screen right here. You'll get new videos automatically as they come out. And if you would like to legally get around high income taxes and how to get a second passport as quick as 4 to 8 months, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and just ask for some help. And I look forward to talking to you on the next video. Take care.